In Patterson Infield Media Center at the Talladega Superspeedway for the 11th annual Talladega County Coaches Association High School Football Media Day. I would like to thank First Bank of Alabama for being our sponsor for this year's event. Would also like to have a special thanks to Russell Branham and the staff here at the Talladega Superspeedway for being our host once again. Special thanks to the media for coming out and supporting our student athletes here in Talladega County. To open up the 11th annual Media Day, we have the Talladega County Central High School Fighting Tigers and brand new head coach Acardia Garrett. Representing the Tigers today, we have Javari McKenzie, Ricky Gooden Swain, and Jovi Cole. The Fighting Tigers compete in Class 1A, Region 6, and open up their season at Tarrant on August the 19th.
Well, these are some guys that we've had that's been pretty faithful and consistent in the weight room all summer. That's the reason why they're here. We had some other guys also, but these are three of the guys that we're looking for as far as leadership come the season. You know, a lot of experience. Of course, you know, we hadn't done very well in the past couple of years, but now these guys are somewhat coming of age and playing at a level with their peers now, and not at a level of much older and bigger guys. So I think that they'll be at a different level of competition once we get started this year. Been working really hard in the weight room, seen a lot of improvements, a lot of gains, a lot of things that they didn't think that they could do. They're beginning to get those done now. So that's pretty much, this summer's just about working hard and getting better.
Is it exciting just knowing that the guys are a little bit older and they can compete a little bit at a higher level going into the season?
Absolutely. You want that for them, because it's nothing really, you got younger kids, there's really nothing that you can do about that. They just got to go out there and compete. And what I will say about them is that, even though they had struggles and they were struggling, it was difficult for them, they're all still here. They're all still working. They're all still trying to get better and do better.
Talk about your first year, Coach. I mean, what's your vision for the program? What do you want to accomplish?
Mainly is to get the kids to buy into being student athletes. A lot of times they get the idea that, you got to put in work on the athletic field, and you got to put in work in the classroom. But getting them to buy into and not be mediocre in their work ethic. We had, you got to want to do it. That's why I'm telling them every day. You got to want to be here. You got to want the weight room. You got to want to get out on the field and work. You just got to want to do it. And I'm just here trying to provide them with the opportunity to do that and get better.
Coach, review this year, obviously your first year at TC. How many guys do you think you're going to have when you hit the field against Tarrant August 19th? How many guys you think you're going to have? Or do you even know yet?
Hopeful number.
Hopeful or realistic?
Hopeful number at 30. Realistically, 25. If we can get to 25, I think we can have a really, really, really serviceable bunch that can compete and win some games. But yeah, that's my realistic number is 25. Hoping for 30.
Coach, how many seniors do you have?
Right now, one. We've just been a victim of some really small classes. It's just what happened. Not a lot of boys in the senior class.
Well, Coach, you made a statement just then when you were saying to the kids about being a student athlete. Speaking from that point of view, I think those kids that know that in order to get where you want them at, they got to start off in that classroom to get to where you want them to be on the field.
Right.
And I think that's a good thing that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Question for the was talking about coming of age. Now, obviously, you're older than when you all started. What was it like being the little bitties playing against older guys, and how much are you now looking forward to being kind of the older guys, you know, up to playing against guys your own age?
I feel like we need to try harder, and like I can't explain it. Like I feel like we got more competition, we got more heart in trying, so we won't be too scared or nothing. We have put in the work as we came up through the years.
Should it be different? I mean, will you feel more comfortable now on the field because you ain't like ninth graders playing against 18-year-olds?
Yes, sir.
What's that going to be like? And how much are you looking forward to? You guys on the end can answer that.
I think it's gonna be very much easier because we know the game, we're used to the game, and I think it's gonna be good this year.
Like he said, we just gotta have more heart and more faith in ourselves, and then we probably can do it.
Are you looking forward to you guys being the guys beating up on people instead of like people beating up on you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's probably the biggest part about getting older, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, this question's for any of the players. What's your routine in the summertime? You try to spend any extra time outdoors?
Yes, sir.
In preparation for getting used to the heaters, and what's your routine to make sure that you stay healthy when you're having to practice in all this hot weather?
When
You can go.
in our free time, we'll probably go to the gym, to hoop, or go on the field and put in some extra work.
I guess you can't spend much time at this point inside in the air conditioner playing video games, can you?
No, sir.
Coach, you laughed when I asked that question about being the older guys now. So that must register with you about what they had gone through or what they're getting ready to, you know, kind of being the older guys. Did that spark something in your mind to think about?
I mean, it did. It was, and I know it was difficult for us as a staff, and I know it was especially difficult for the kid. Trying to power through those times. Not that it was I mean, we were never really talent deficient. We were just not big enough to be out there with the guys that we were with, you know. And I hope that to some point we get to the point where we can compete, and we can beat up on some people like they've been beating up on us.
To the player, you guys seem like you were in a situation on a team that was a little bit up the road from you guys last year, like Oxford Yellow Jackets. They were young, but they were playing like the number 14 in the nation. You're not running from competition. You get better by playing those teams like that. So I got what Coach is saying is you guys gonna do better this year than you were last year. You guys think that way?
Yes, sir.
I think we're gonna be better last year. I think we done grown, and the other years we didn't have our spot. But I think this year we're gonna get our spot back.
With a last name like Swain, it's 100,000 Swains in Talladega County, so I think we're gonna have to live up to that. Coach, are you guys at a point where you're just trying to learn how to win? I mean, it's been a while. Is that something that you guys are?
Well, I mean that's a good question. I do think that you can get used to losing, and we definitely don't want to get into that point. I mean, these guys are talented, and they've won at other levels. They've just not been put in the proper position to win at this level now because of the gaps that we've had in upperclassmen, to be honest. We didn't have enough upperclassmen these last couple of years to bridge the gap for them, which, we hate that, but they had to, go through the school of hard knocks, and hopefully now, they're tired of doing that, and they're ready to, step up to the plate, so to speak.
I scored football
4 points a game. I know you have a new OC. Talk about what you want to see from your offense this year, Coach.
I mean, we do have a new offensive coordinator, Coach McBurnett. He's on fire about football, and that's a great thing to have coming in. He's got a lot of great ideas, sometimes too many, but you know, you just have to control that. And guys, you know, people, when I first started coaching, I wanted to do everything, but you can't do everything. So what we got to do is come in and figure out the things that we can do to make our kids successful, not the things that we think up in our mind. Because you know, you go home and you think up a million things to do, but you may not have the guys to do that. So what we got to do is come up with stuff that can put our kids in the position to be successful.
Coach, are you reaching out to kids that's playing more than one sport, so 3 sports kids in your program?
That's all I have.
That's what I mean. No.
That's all we got. All of these guys up here on this podium played 3 sports.
You're a TC guy. Been coaching there for a while.
Absolutely.
You played great basketball there back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk about
Way back.
Talk about trying to return that tradition, that TC tradition, winning. I mean, people used to be scared of you guys walking off the bus. They were already. And then just talk about trying to get back to that point.
Those were the days. I mean, I think it's just it was back in that time. TC was more. It's a community school now, but back in that time, TC was the community. It was what was going on in the community, and I think we've lost a little bit of that. A lot of people moved away. You know, got other opportunities for themselves. So it's kind of thinned our TC community out. You know, especially as far as kids go. But I think that we can, you know, I think that we're getting back to that point. We're doing more, trying to get community involvement, get the community involved. That's where we got to go with that. But back in the time that you were talking about, I think that we just had a lot more participation and buy-in from the community than we do right now. We just got to fix that. I mean, you be accessible. You make the kids accessible. You know, you have a lot of, you know, guys that volunteer coach. You try to make them welcome, and you try to bridge the gap between, you know, them and the community, the kids in the community. Just make people feel involved. I mean, that's the only way I can think about it. Because they gotta want to be here. You know, I think over the years we got stuck in a place where kids leaving and, you know, going to different places, and I mean, they gotta want to be at your school. They gotta want to be there with you. So I guess we just gotta do a better job at making them wanting to be there.
Coach, you talked about back in the day, and, you know, I've covered many football, basketball games there. Nobody wanted to go to Howell's Cove. You wanted to talk about the community. How important is it to get that home field advantage back in the community?
Oh, I mean, it's extremely important. I mean, we need it. You know, the kids need it. It's just better for the program overall when we have that support. You know, you know how it was. You know, back in the 90s, 80s, 90s. You know, TC was where it was. You know, and we're just trying to work hard and give these guys some history so they know where we were, so they have a starting point trying to get back to that level.
Any further questions?
further questions, that wraps up the Talladega County Central High School Fighting Tigers. In about 5 minutes, we'll have Coach Johnny Johnson and the Chillsburg High School Tigers.
With it.